Right. Wild card weekend, Saturday. Welcome back, man. Hope everybody is having a good new year, enjoying the weekend, being safe out there. It's cold as hell outside, man. Feels like a roundhouse kick every time I step outside the door, but we go outside anyway, right? But before I get into it, like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and let's get into it, man. We got the Eagles game tomorrow, obviously, but coming up today, we have Texans. The Texans have been an anomaly, up and down, an enigma, if you will. Yeah, the Texans trying to get it done today, and are they going to get it done? I don't know. The Chargers have been flipping the switch, and they started out really, really slow this year. And that's the game I want to start out with here. Started out really, really slow. Justin Herbert and that offense really couldn't get a lot done. But ever since week 7, they've been on fire. He's actually been one of the, if not the best quarterback in the league if you look at it stats wise. Right? You look at Justin Herbert before week 7. 25th in passing yards per attempt at 6.5. 20th in big time throw rate at 3%. Not really hitting a lot of his throws downfield. And 26th in passing grade at 58.2. And this is per PFF. Since week 7, he's had PFF's highest passing grade at 93.4, up 45 points from earlier in the season. Ranks 4th now in big time throw rate and 6th best in yards per attempt at 8.1. So completely flipped the script. And part of that is because they're getting a little more creative the using the pass earlier on in their drives. Before they were just running the ball early on in their drives on the early downs, and they weren't passing the ball. They were passing the ball just 43% of the time on early downs, and that was the lowest rate in the NFL. And since then, they're 5th best in the league with 60.5% rate of throwing the ball on early down. So they completely changed the identity of their offense, and they've been on fire. And now it's matching up with that defense, that hardball defense, and they're a wild card team, pun intended. And now you have the Texans. They've been so inconsistent this year. Last year, C.J. Stroud, rookie offensive player of the year, I believe, and he's had a step back in his sophomore year. And they've been so hot and cold, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. 1 minute they're able to make a deep shot downfield, obviously with Nico Collins and, Tank Dell's out now, but they still have the weapons. But then on other plays, they're getting no yards or negative yardage. So you have this wildly inconsistent offense coming into the playoffs against a very stout Chargers defense and a Chargers offense that has really put it together. So I think that the Chargers are going to win this game. I think that they come out of this with the dub. And they came out of nowhere to be able to get a playoff spot, and I think that they're going to make a little bit of noise. I don't think that they're going to win the Super Bowl, but I think that they're going to be a headache for any team that plays them in the playoffs this year. So I'm going to go with the Chargers to win this game. They're favored by 3 points, so I changed that. It's not an upset, but I think that the Chargers are the better team and more consistent. So that's why I'm picking them for this game today. And then the 8 o'clock game today between the Steelers and the Ravens. Ravens favored by 9.5 points, 43.5 point spread. And look, Ravens are heavily favored at home. They already played the Steelers, obviously, twice because they're in the same division. And the last time that they matched up, Derrick Henry ran wild. He was running all over the place, man. I mean, you have to look at this Steelers defense and how they're going to stop Henry and how they're going to stop Lamar Jackson. Those are obviously the two cogs for that offense. But offensively, for the Steelers, they've just fallen apart. They really have. I don't know what happened to them. Ever since George Pickens got injured, they've really gone off the rails a little bit. And even with him back, at times he just looks disinterested. I don't follow them that closely, but in the highlights that I've seen, it doesn't seem like the same receiver that I saw prior to the Eagles game because he got hurt for that before that game and he wasn't in it when he played us. But before that, he was really their go-to guy and he was able to make plays for Russell Wilson downfield and even Justin Fields when he was playing. But now it's like, what do you do? I really don't know what answer they're going to have for the Ravens. And while the Ravens defense has not been what it was in years past, they've certainly been playing better down the stretch, and that does not bode well for the Steelers playing on the road. So I'm going to go with the Ravens to win this game tonight. So I have the Texans and the Ravens moving on to the next round, and then tomorrow's game, the last one in the AFC, being between the Buffalo Bills and the Broncos, playing up in Buffalo. Bills favored by 8. It's 47.5 point spread, according to ESPN Bet. And I think the Bills will win this game. I think they're the better team. But do not sleep on Bo Nix. That's all I'm going to say. Do not sleep on Bo Nix. Because you look at where he started to where he's at now, completely different player. And he's able to make some plays at quarterback that they haven't been able to have a guy make before, including, I believe, Russell Wilson when he was with the Broncos. Bo Nix has been able to make passes and keep the chains moving and even get them to the playoffs. Defensively, we already knew that Denver was lights out. But offensively, we didn't believe nothing they were doing and nothing they were about, especially not early in the season. But right now, they're cooking with a little bit. So while I think that the Bills will win, Denver's not going to roll over like maybe some people think they will. So maybe that spread is a little bit too much. Maybe 5 points might be a little more realistic for me, 4 to 5 points. But I got the Bills winning this game. So AFC wise, I have the Bills, I have the Chargers, and then I have the Ravens moving on to the next round. And then flipping over to the NFC side, and let me know what you all think about my predictions for the AFC. But on the NFC side, you have obviously the Eagles are matching up with the Packers tomorrow at 4:30. That's the first game, and obviously that's the squad. That's how we roll. But this is very intriguing because you have Jalen Hurts coming back from concussion protocol, and there were some screenshots from his press conference I think yesterday. And he looked like Rocky when he came out of training when he was getting ready to fight Drago. Got the goatee and the mustache, got the beanie on, just looking focused. Like he looks like he's not playing no games. Like he's on a mission. He had that same intensity at the beginning of the year when him and Saquon were having that conversation during training camp. That clip that went a little bit viral before the season started. And he looks like he has that same intensity. And I think some people, I was looking in the Reddit thread for Eagles. It's Eagles subreddit. And they were saying, man, Jalen, he looks like a different dude, post concussion. Like he's locked in. Not like he's not ready to play, but like he's super serious, super focused, super locked in, like he's not taking no prisoners. And that's the attitude. That's the attitude that I think that everybody's going to bring to the game, and it's infectious. It permeates the entire locker room. And every one of those guys knows exactly what time it is because the 14-3 record, that's cool. 2,000 yards, phenomenal. I know some people were angry that he didn't get a chance to rush for the record, but that's not why we're here. And I didn't make a video on that because more than enough people did that for me. But my take is, and maybe I'll clip this up. When we won that Super Bowl, there were some whispers that now that Eagles fans got their first Super Bowl, they might get a little bit soft. They may rest on their laurels. They may think, oh, we've been here before. And Eagles fans, that'll never happen. That's what they said. They said that'll never happen. We're always hungry. Hungry dogs run faster. But look at us now. You had the opportunity to have Saquon not only break the Eagles' single season rushing record. I think that was Shady's record. But also have a chance to break 2,000, which is a milestone within itself, but then get a chance to break Eric Dickerson's record. And for those that were knocking the fact that he had to do it, had to have 17 games to do it, in 16 games he had less carries, and that's why he had less yards than Eric Dickerson, but he had more yards per carry. So he was actually more efficient than Eric Dickerson. So just for a little bit of added context, he had a phenomenal year, but if he gets hurt, we know that our chances are very slim to get to and win the Super Bowl. And people that come with the argument, oh, well, you can get hurt in any game. Yeah, but it's much different when you're at the end of the season versus the beginning of the season. They haven't had a bye week since what? Was it week 5 or week 12? I don't remember. It's just been so long. They've just been just grinding towards this goal. And you got to not only let Saquon rest, but you have to let that offensive line rest because you have to start them if you're going to go for the record. And if you get Lane Johnson injured, probably over. If Mailata gets injured, our run may be over. And the argument that the one that really got me was when people said, "Oh, you have a chance to play for the Super Bowl every year." How quickly we forget what it's like not to have a ring. Go ahead and tell that to the Vikings. When Peterson rushed for 2,000 yards coming off the ACL injury, and maybe he also had a shot to go for the record. Ask them if they would have rather have had their first Super Bowl win versus having Peterson have that breakthrough year, and let's say he won the title that year. Do you think anybody would have cared if they didn't win anything? No. They would gladly give up that rushing record for one title. And we win one title, and now we're getting caught up in all the minutia instead of worrying about the big goal. It's about rings, man. All right, we talk about Eric Dickerson when it comes time to mention people that are getting close to the record. But if nobody's close to the record, do we talk about Eric Dickerson? No disrespect. No, people don't in general, because he unfortunately that Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken, eluded him, and that's what counts at the end of the day. Ask Barry Sanders all the accolades he had, if he would have given up some, if not all of those things for a Super Bowl ring. Ask some of these greats. I can't speak for them, but Charles Barkley, they always get on him. And Michael Jordan was a big reason, and I know I'm going on a tangent, was a big reason why he didn't get a ring. He's one of the best power forwards of all time, but that championship eluded him. And if he had the opportunity to say, hey, Chuck, if you don't win MVP this year, you're going to get the ring. You think Chuck wouldn't have taken the ring? Like, come on now. Let's be real here. So, like, and we know that if Saquon got hurt, everybody would flip script and be like, oh, they should have never started him. So sometimes you have to do what's best for the fans and give them what they need, not necessarily what they want. So, rant over. That being said, you got Jalen coming back with that focused, that laser focused mindset, and you have a team that I think across the board just matches up extremely well against Green Bay. And outside of Josh Jacobs, where is the threat? Because Jordan Love, even when healthy, inconsistent. One game he can look like he's a world beater. He can look like Pat Mahomes. The next game he can look as inconsistent as C.J. Stroud looks at times. And now you have the elbow injury. You're playing out in the cold with an elbow injury. You think that's not going to affect him? Of course it is. So, and going against this Eagles defense, I think that the Packers are tough, and they're going to, in the first half, I think it's going to be a tough game. But then I just think the Eagles, the cream will rise to the top, and you'll see them separate just based off of talent and just sheer ability and scheme, right? Like, the Packers can run the ball. They just lost Watkins, their deep threat on the outside. So you're already going to be hard pressed to beat this Eagles defense over the top, even if you had Christian Watson in. So now that he's out, Reed, he had a big game last time. Our defense wasn't playing the same way. And Cooper DeJean was still hurt. He wasn't even starting back then. Guess who's going to be on Jaden Reed and Dobbs, Romeo Dobbs? They're going to have, you have Quinyon Mitchell, you have Quintana Mobe, and you have Cooper DeJean. And then you have C.J. Gardner Johnson manning the backfield. He's like a center fielder, man. He's all over the damn place, and he has a nasty, mean streak, a nasty attitude, and he just sets the tone. And then this front seven, man. Come on, Zach Bond, all pro level play this year at linebacker. We haven't had that since Jeremiah Trotter. Like for those that don't remember, his son's playing now, but the father, lights out, man. And then you have Jalen Carter up front just being a game wrecker. I think it'll be a good game, but I have the Eagles winning this game. And then the next one on the docket, moving forward, we have the Commanders playing the Buccaneers, 8 o'clock Sunday night. Tampa Bay is favored by 3 points in what is predicted to be a high-scoring game with a over/under of 50.5 points. Look, Buccaneers are a really, really good team, and they've had a really, really good year. Baker Mayfield coming over from Cleveland previously, and I followed him his entire career, and I thought that he didn't get a fair shake out in Cleveland, just because the organization was still trying to piece together a football team. You brought in Jarvis Landry, you had Odell Beckham Jr. Those things just didn't work out. You brought in Amari Cooper, and now he's gone. Uh, and Nick Chubb with the phenomenal when he was healthy, but then the injuries caught up to him. They they just were they had a tough time protecting him there as well too. And then he shipped him off to Tampa Bay like he was just damaged goods, and I was like, you guys are out of your mind. I remember what he was like in college, and that guy's still there, and he's going to go really light it up in Tampa, and he has, man, and he's the reason they're in the playoffs as the 3 seed, and they were able to win that division. And the Commanders, they're having a very, very good year with their rookie Jaden Daniels. I was very high on him coming out of college, and I'm not surprised that he had an impact, but I am surprised that he was able to get them to the playoffs year one that quickly. And he's a dynamic player with his legs when he's able to scramble outside the pocket. And I think he brings a dimension that you can't replicate, right? You find that in the Lamar Jacksons of the world, at times with the Josh Allens of the world, but you don't find it often. And that defensively, offensively, I think both teams, I think they're pretty evenly matched. I mean, you obviously have Mike Evans who gets 1,000 yard season every year. He set a record. He's had a bunch of them, man. He's still playing at a high level, even without Chris Godwin. They have a pretty good offense. Bucky Irvin, the rookie at running back, he's playing well. But defensively, they've had so many injuries, and even from the beginning of the year, it became apparent that outside of Bowles really scheming things up on defense, they weren't really going to be able to be as fierce as they were in years past. And I look at this Commanders defense, and while they're not world beaters, they are certainly better than Tampa Bay's defense, which is why I think that they have a decent shot to upset Tampa Bay in their house, which is why I'm going to pick the Commanders to go get the upset. I think it's going to be a pretty good game, but I think that they're going to be able to beat them because their defense matches up against Tampa Bay's offense better than Tampa Bay's defense matches up against the Commanders' offense, and that's the separating factor to me. And then you add in the X factor, who is Jaden Daniels. It could be 3rd and 11, and he can turn that into 1st and 10 that quickly. I'm going to give the edge to the Commanders. And then the last wild card game on the docket, moving down to Monday night, Vikings playing at the Rams, which is crazy because the Vikings, what are they like 13-4? They clearly are a better team, excuse me, than the Rams, at least as their record would say. Yet they're playing against the Rams, and it's not going to be a home game because unfortunately, the wildfires out there in LA are not allowing that to happen. So they're actually going to be playing in Glendale, Arizona. So neutral site. So Minnesota is favored by 2.5, and the over under is 47.5 points. So right now, you look at the Rams; they've been slowly picking things up um, since um, since the middle of the season, and you got Puka Nakua came coming back from injured reserve to line up across from Cooper Kupp, who was also hurt for a good part of the early part of the season, and obviously they have a really good running game. The defense, um, they're solid. They're solid. Nothing, not too shabby. And then you look at the Vikings. We've seen some holes in that team as of recent, especially with that Lions game. They got trounced in that game, man, and it became apparent that those Sam Darnold and that offense can really do some good things. If you get a good defense that can put pressure on Sam Darnold, he's gonna have a propensity to turn the ball over. Which is why I think that the Vikings they might be leaving early against the Rams. This is a close game, a very close game, and I'm not surprised that the Vikings are only favored by 2.5 points. I know they're on the road, but if they were more consistent, that spread would be more than 2.5 points. If they were playing like they were 5 6 weeks ago, I would think they would be favored by 5 to 7 points against this Rams team. But I think that the Rams are picking up a little bit of steam going into the playoffs, whereas the Vikings seem to be. I don't like the energy going into this game. I think overall they're the better team, but I don't like some of the. They're the better team talent wise. Obviously with Justin Jefferson and Addison and some of those guys on offense. But I don't like the momentum going into the postseason. So I'm going to go with the Rams to upset the Vikings at home here. So those are my picks for Wild Card Weekend. Let me know what you guys think about it, and we'll see how things shake out. But I'm certainly excited for where this Eagles team is going to go. As long as they stay healthy, man, this is one of the best Eagles defenses that I think that I've seen them field, and that includes the 2022 defense, where we went to the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, and that includes the 2017 defense in the Super Bowl run where we beat the Patriots. Um, it's it's up there. It's up there. So hopefully they're able to turn this playoff run into a Super Bowl ring because this is one of the most complete Eagles teams that I've seen. So let me know what you guys think and catch you after the games. Deuces.